Hello and welcome to Chapter 139 of DC Alliance Podcast. With me, as always, is Joe. Joe, how you doing this evening?
Oh, Travis, do I have some stories for you? Man, it's been first off, it's been a heck of a weekend. I've been stupid busy. Secondly, today is my girlfriend's birthday.
Oh, happy
And
birthday.
yep, she went out with her mom, took her out to dinner, so I was able to hop onto here.
Okay.
Second, to top that off though, today is also apparently here in Indiana. Like I joked about it on in the chat last night that that's weird. My weather app says it's negative 32 degrees. Haha, that's funny. It is currently snowing right now. So
Yeah, and not you're. I don't
yay.
think you're in Indiana's prepared for snow in
No,
October.
not right now. No, like
No.
usually middle to end of November is when we start preparing. So I expect a lot of cars crashed when I go to work tomorrow. That'll be fun. And then on top of that, my daughter just started working today. She's 15 years old and she got her first job and started her first job today.
Oh
So
my
it's
God.
been I forgot that Stargirl had came out, so I was watching that and in the middle of watching, like, it took me an hour and a half to watch that, if not 2 hours, because I was making dinner for my other kid, my girlfriend's daughter, and then trying to clean up. So it just also I had the job I've been on at work that I've been covering. The lady came back, so I had to go learn a new job today. So I've just been today has been whew.
Oh God, Joe. Well, let's try and relax and talk about some good DC.
How
Myself,
how are you been doing?
I'm not going to complain about having to write a couple papers after hearing. I had a bit of work. I had a little bit of school work over the weekend. The in-laws were in, and we painted some rooms here in the house. We got one room ready for the expecting kid, but we still don't know the sex yet. I think we'll know that. I want to say the first week in November. So we'll
Oh
paint the
wow.
color accordingly. Then I assume. I don't know. I'm just along for the ride. I'm the manual labor. I get a little bit of PTSD doing the painting though. It just reminds me of my former manual labor life that I hate it so much. Yeah. Besides that, I have the terror of three midterms. Sorry, in 20 less than 24 hours, starting on
Oof,
Thursday.
fun.
So the Black Adam will be a
But that's right.
cathartic experience for me. It will be on Friday. I still haven't returned my tickets yet. I'll have to do that. But we
I'll
have
do
some
that tomorrow.
discussion, and we had news drop, Joe. We're getting news before
Man,
the show. This never
yeah.
happens. This rarely ever happens for DC. So fun times. I can't wait to get into it. But before we do all that, we got to get the network plug that away. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance with 8 shows in total. On Mondays is Ranger Alliance, and that rotates bi-weekly with Slice of Film. On Tuesdays is DC Alliance. On Wednesdays is Superhero Discussions. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance. On Saturdays, bi-weekly, as they walk through the multiverse with Joe. On Sundays, monthly is World's Finest True Believers. DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live on the Geekverse YouTube channel Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right now, I think. I think it might change back. I'm not sure. But right now for Andor, it's been 9 the last couple times.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And Marvel Alliance, 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursdays. All three of those shows also have their own podcast feed. Search for Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance if you just want Marvel content, DC content, or Star Wars content. We also have a Patreon, Joe. Before I talk about the tiers, I want to give a shout out to Joshua Selman, our newest patron. So thank
Yep.
you so much for that, Joshua. He
Thanks,
joins
Josh.
$5 here, and that's greatly appreciated. Also, awesome Nightwing shirt. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, we have 2 tiers in the Patreon, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing, you want to help us out any way you can. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras. You get your ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. Myself and Joe are going to get together and record our Swamp Thing review. I have watched half of that film, and it is bonkers.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
I
know
need to
what they were.
rewatch that.
I don't know what they were thinking about making
Dude.
back then. It was wild. So I can't wait to discuss that with you. We have the Marvel Alliance guys doing their MCU we rewatch. Like they can watch this all day. I'm pretty sure they were doing research on their newest entry. We have Katie doing Star Wars comics with her husband. We have Clay doing his for the first time watches. He's on Game of Thrones right now. And we have Joe's Multiverse Minutes, and Joe's doing a special thing for the Halloween time, the October month. He has been doing horror movies. Joe, what is on deck for you? What came out today, and what's on deck?
My 30 plus days of Halloween. Today I released Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. It was first time watching it. I think I even put in the description. They find even more disappointing ways to try and say or prove that having a handheld camera works. There was some good in there. There was some. I mean, it was a decent movie. I just don't know why they kept continuing on.
Yeah, that's the thing. You bleed turnip dry like that.
Yeah, eventually. And sad to say, they've got another one in the works. Although this one's supposed to be taking place in the 90s, where actually having handheld cameras makes sense. But
yeah.
I got coming up. I've got the next Paranormal Activity movie, The Ghost Dimension. That's coming down the road.
I'm sure that'll be fantastic after hearing.
Okay. Hubie Halloween is one that I like. It's on Netflix. I like that one. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010 is in there.
Underrated. Gets a little too much crap. I
will. What really surprised me for that one, and I do talk about a little bit in the recording, is that it made a good amount of money.
Yeah,
and they didn't get a sequel. I don't know why. The other couple for the rest of the week is Willy's Wonderland, which is another very guilty pleasure of mine, and The Haunted Palace.
Oh, cool.
Which is a Edgar Allan Poe, poem, but apparently they took this poem and just made a whole movie out of it.
Not surprised.
I talk about that. Well, the other thing is it's not really. It's based off the poem, but it's really based off of an H.P. Lovecraft story. So I discuss it a little bit in the recording, so you can check that out on Friday.
So check those out and watch as Joe makes the rest of us on the network look terrible for Patreon. I'm just messing with you, Joe. It's awesome. I just had to throw that joke in there.
I know Chris made a joke at one point on the Marvel Alliance. Look, I had this time. I wanted to watch these movies.
It's cool, and I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to see what movies you tackle next October as well. Thank you. We thank everyone that is a patron. If you can take a quick 30 to 60 seconds to rate and review the podcast on your podcast app of choice, that's greatly appreciated. Help us be found in the algorithm, and that's always a great thing. Joe, let's get on to the show. We got a lot of stuff going on here today, and first up is the Penguin HBO Max series update. People were thinking only about a month ago that this was dead in the water, Joe, that there was no chance of this coming out because of the back row cancellation. People were saying, like, these things are on the chopping block next for sure. But we'll talk about it in a little bit. Like, Matt Reeves seems to be able to do what he wants. And Colin Farrell teased in an interview that the Penguin's going to just pick up right where the Batman left off. Actually, a week after Batman left off.
A week after.
He says, I read the first script and the first episode, and it opens up with my feet splashing through the water in Falcon's office. So we're picking up right where the Gotham's flooded. So I love that. I assume they're going to tell some flashbacks and some present time now. I thought it might have been all flashback to lead us up to the movie before. So
yeah, I thought it was going to be, I mean, for lack of better terms, a period piece, just to see how the Penguin got from maybe like a lowly henchman to being the second in command to Falcone, and then we saw his rise in the Batman. But no, this definitely sounds like it's going to be him going forward from the end of Batman to becoming the new crime lord, the new crime boss, and maybe setting up where he's going to be at come the Batman 2. You know, I guarantee he'll be in the Batman 2. Just he may have a smaller role, but I think he's going to be
a greater role in the Batman 2. And I think this puts a greater emphasis on these HBO Max film shows, like series. I think that this ties directly, and this is something Zaslav talked about, wanting like integration like that with his like the streaming service, talking about Disney Plus, the way they do their films and movies, they all tie in. That I think that's the reason Peacemaker is still going on, and they're talking about the second season, as it ties into the greater DCEU.
But see, that's the thing though, because Peacemaker himself, I mean, he was a main cast member in Suicide Squad, but you really focused on Bloodshot and like Ratcatcher. Like Peacemaker
Yeah.
was there, but he wasn't the main draw. Penguin was in the Batman, but he wasn't the main draw. And that's why I think he'll have a part in the Batman 2, but maybe a similar part to where he had. He'll be in there as like a second tier person because he's got his own show, and you're gonna see his character development there.
That also makes me wonder. See, it's hard to talk about this topic without bleeding into the next topic
Which
because
we
of
will.
the paragraph.
Yes.
Because there are things here that
Well,
Fanboy Clay saying HBO Max, HBO is dissolving in the next year, so it'll all go on Discovery, I assume. This HBO Max Penguin thing,
Yeah.
if not, or
I mean,
they could sell this out too. They're not against that, getting quick cash in. They could sell this show out to
sell
another
to a different company, like
to a different company.
Cinemax,
I don't know how that's going to work with you having
Showtime,
the Batman on your streaming service, like to not have this. So I could see them doing that though, because if Clay is right about them dissolving in the next year.
Yeah, but there was all their properties were elsewhere before, and then they finally got them all in house. Like look at Pennyworth, like that was on Showtime for how long? For 2 seasons, and now it's on HBO Max.
Yeah,
and I still won't watch it.
No,
but
not even with the name change, Joe. Not even with the name change.
But we'll see. Maybe in the future.
We'll see.
But what are your thoughts on? Are you excited for this? Because I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the series. This is gonna be great.
This gets me more excited, to be honest with you, because it is continuing on from the Batman instead of like I thought leading us into the Batman where we already knew where he was. We're going to see where he goes from here. We're obviously going to see some past stuff, but this excites me more.
You think we'll see some Robert Pattinson flying through?
That is the question I was just throwing to you.
Do you think it'll be like just like a silhouette of Batman flying around?
I think you could see like the bat single go up and like Penguin try to get out of there. I don't know if we'll see him directly. It'll be cool if we do. Like it'll be pretty mind blowing. It would change all the things for all the series that they have potentially might have planned.
I'll say I wouldn't put it past them to do a Peacemaker and throw him in at the very end, like at the very last scene of the season finale. But I don't think he's going to be in there. I don't think he'll be prominent in there.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right about that, especially if they want to focus on other characters as well.
Correct.
I think we held off as long as possible.
We tried.
For this one. Let's go into the new main topic, which is DC's at a turning point. The Boris Kit article. It says James Gunn pitches secret movie. Dwayne Johnson flexes his Superman power. So I have the article opened up. So we're just going to go through and discuss some points. Essentially saying that Walter Hamada's quietly ending his tenure in DC in coming days. And they don't know what is going to happen really going forward. This is what it says here. DC is charting into truly unknown territory.
I mean, they're taking it back to the early 90s when, Batman was kind of like Superman was done. Batman was kind of faltering because we had the Schumachers, and people watched them, but people weren't excited for it, which I'm about ready to watch Batman Forever here soon for Comic Rundown, and I've got a different appreciation for that now, considering all I know about WB and them screwing him over, but or forcing him to go the way he went. So I'll be looking at that through different eyes. But yeah, like we're literally in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where DC was just kind of a, what are we gonna do?
Pre-Batman and Robin, post-Batman and Robin,
post-Batman and Robin, pre-Batman Begins. Green Lantern came out. That was kind of a falter. I don't think
Clay makes a good point here, saying like I don't think it's actually a good idea to show Pattinson because it may take away from the Penguin, which is right. Because then you might throw the problem in if you plan to do any more of these villain things. You might expect Batman to show up in every one of these.
Yes, but that's what I was saying. If he shows up at the very end, at the season finale, versus similar to what Aquaman and Flash did in Peacemaker. They showed up. They did take away from Peacemaker. Peacemaker had 6 episodes that just killed, or 8, however many episodes they had.
8, I think it was. 8.
That just killed and was just amazing. Yeah. And that scene at the end did not take away from the fact that was an amazing series. So I don't think having Batman in silhouette or even like you said, in a just show the symbol, the bat signal. I mean, that's not going to take anything
Yeah, that's
away.
that. I think that should be the extent they go to. I think they should
Yeah.
hold off calling in Pattinson for this one, even though
But-
it would be pretty cool.
But yeah, so DC's in a spot right now that, yes, they've been in it before, but that was a different regime a few regimes ago. So yeah, it's uncharted territory because these guys haven't been in this position yet. But it's also a good thing because from here you can only go up.
Yeah, well,
Like-
yeah, Joe, that's a pretty good thing, Joe, by hitting rock bottom. There's no way going up. I just want to get to this. Nikita Monahan says, I was hoping Cavill would have been in the climax action scene or shown up in the third act of Black Adam like Toby and Andrew in No Way Home, but early report says he shows up in just one shot.
You know what? That's fine.
I'm okay with that. I talked about this. I want to say this right quick, too. I was on the Vigilante 1939 Black Adam tailgate on Friday. It was great fun. Shout out to Nico and Zeddy.
The rest of her message. Post-credit scene. So why are people making a fuss about that? Exactly. Why are people making a fuss about that?
Yeah,
because
it makes no sense.
People want Henry Cavill back, but they want him for like the whole movie. That's not going to happen for the whole movie.
That's not going to happen. Like I said, judge the movie on the movie, and if there's an end credit scene with somebody that we just talked about, great news, because that means better things going forward, and that third act that you wanted to see with Henry Cavill, you will probably see that in a future film. So yeah, don't get too disappointed, because we're going to get more deeper into this article, and you'll know why. Even having him just at the very end, if that's what happens, is a great thing, because it probably was not going to happen if things didn't shake out a certain way.
Yeah. I do like how it came about, though. We'll get into it here in a second.
We'll get into it. But before we get into it, Joe, let's take our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Different times, Joe.
Yep.
Different times.
It
I
happens.
think yours was right. Mine blinked. Yeah, let's keep going through this, Joe, because this is a fascinating article. They're talking about this is one thing I thought was funny, because they say Johnson's publicly touting his vision for a Black Adam versus Superman movie, with words stoking fan desire to see Henry Cavill return as a red cape hero. Matt Reeves is plotting an expansion of the Batman universe. We heard about that as well. And let me throw this in here, which I haven't heard anything to support this yet, but while J.J. Abrams remains in the mix as well with his own plans, but myself and Clay joked several times in the last couple months that he's just been like laughing to the bank before Discovery came in with that deal, but he never published or did anything.
I was gonna say he's remained in the mix. He hasn't been told he's been dropped yet. That's all that is.
He probably has one of those contracts where like there's a red pill. If you cancel the contract, you have to pay him out a certain amount of money. And Discovery's like, yeah, we can't do that right now. So you're in the mix, big guy.
But you're still making a movie.
Yeah.
I like Abrams making a movie, fine, but maybe give us something. Like, yes, Clay, he is making money from his couch. We get it.
But yeah, like
you were right. Is that what you want to hear, Clay? You were right.
Now, the Hollywood Reporter can exclusively report that James Gunn, the filmmaker behind Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy movie, as well as Warner's DC-based The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, is angling for his own new DC project or two. Sources tell THR that Gunn and producer Peter Safran are in talks with Warner's for a mystery movie, possibly more, that Gunn would tackle. Safran is already in DC business, being producer of Shazam and the Aquaman movies. There's no comment from Warner, but people are saying like DC projects are in play. It just depends on your presentation and who you have.
Now about that, like we knew he had another project in the works because he had said, I think at the Peacemaker finale that, that Peacemaker finale that he had another. He was asked what other character from Suicide Squad he would like to make a show of, and he's like, well, I got something going on. Like he has a project already in the works. So this, like, I'm not surprised one bit that he may have more. Like Warner Brothers or Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery saw what he did with Suicide Squad. They saw what he did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
And
Like
Peacemaker.
and
Peacemaker was a hit for that too.
he's a good filmmaker producer. Like he knows what he's doing. So why not back this guy? Why not be like give him an opportunity?
It's the only DC TV property, Peacemaker, that has been like reviewed by those heavy spoilers and like real reject stuff, or I can't remember the other one, new Rockstar stuff. So like that pushes the show out more, and then you hear about Peacemaker like going into all these different like countries. It's just bigger. Nikita, yeah, this is entirely DC. We have various podcasts on the network. Marvel is on Thursday nights, and Star Wars is on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited by that because we've already heard about Viola Davis and her potential series as Amanda Waller. So I think that's one of the projects. And I don't think he pitches projects until he has them developed. Like he talked about writing Peacemaker first before he presented it. He had all the episodes, then he's going to go because he has a big hand in writing as well. So I think that one of those two projects is the Amanda Waller show. He's going to do Peacemaker 2 second season before anything else, he said as well. So that's an exciting thing.
Yeah.
I'm all in for the James Gunn stuff with DC. I want more of it. So those are great things. It sounds, Joe, to me, we'll keep on reading. But if you have a good like producer behind you and a good idea, WBD is going to listen to what you have to present at the very least.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. So I guess we'll get on down here to what I really like is under Warner Brothers Discovery, CEO David Zaslav and Warner Pictures head Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi. Warner has an intense desire to reprise the Cavill iteration of the hero. The project that would essentially be called Man of Steel 2 is being produced by Charles Roven and is currently in search for writers. And then it talks about Christopher McQuarrie, who was rumored back in the day. We also have Slice of Film that focuses on new movies, old movies, and everything in between as well. So it's not just superheroes here on the network.
I was actually already typing something in, but there you go.
Look at me catching that.
Nikita, we've got multiple shows on the network. Like Travis said, this is for DC. We've got a show that covers Marvel on Thursdays, a show that covers Star Wars on Saturdays, a show that covers any other comic book property on Saturdays, every other Saturday. We have shows that covers movies, Slice of Film, that's every other Monday. Power Ranger stuff every other Monday. Like we've got a plethora of shows on the network. So yeah.
But Joe, we're almost burying thing there. Man of Steel 2. Joe, yes. Man of Steel 2. Man of Steel 2. I could not have been more excited when I read this. My hip was going to explode. Obviously, we kind of thought this, but just to see it written down and Charles Roven attached, who has been a big supporter of Henry Cavill Superman. He's been the producer on every one of his films.
What's interesting and what's fun is we're actually about ready to get into it in a like a paragraph or two that Johnson went to Hamada and was like, "Hey, I've got an idea for a Superman movie. I've got an idea to use Superman."
S-Bub's always sliding in with Dwayne Johnson said probably and direct.
And Hamada's like, "No, we're gonna go with J.J. Abrams Superman. That's Superman I'm gonna back." And then Johnson was just like, "Yeah, no," and he went around Hamada's back.
Well,
like
that Joe, alone, after 6 years. To be honest with you, I think because we will read here that the Cameo didn't get filmed. This thing didn't get filmed until September. So,
but it was just the fact that he went to Hamada. He followed the proper channels.
Yeah,
Hamada was the boss at the time, and Hamada's like, "No, we're not going to do that." And
Hamada's like, been the boss.
I want
he's been asking for this. Since he's been asking for this, I think he finally saw the writing on the wall for Hamada, and that's when he made that move to go over his head.
Yeah.
I think that like he's been asking him over and over and over again. I really see it. And Clay's talking about, currently he is set for cameos and only has one old contract. Well, like we're just saying, they're basically just saying that Man of Steel 2 is coming and we have a producer for it.
That
We're
would be
looking
his
for
final
writers.
film, yeah.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a new, because there are rumors of him being in the Flash film as well. I think there's going to be a new deal for Henry Cavill. I think
But if
that
that's a cameo, though, that still falls under that contract.
well,
right?
you can do an extension to your
Yes,
contract.
but
Like that's what they do with a lot of these Marvel people when they get to almost the end of their, you can extend your contract, which
yeah.
I totally see. This is what the negotiation was, to extend it rather than burn up that final appearance. And what we're talking about here is a Man of Steel 2, which giddy up.
Look, I'm all for it. It's Man of Steel. Like I loved the Man of Steel when it came out.
Same, Joe. It was amazing. It's like my
I'm
number
looking
2 or
forward
3.
to it. Okay, I need to rank the DC.
I'm gonna do that before Friday.
We got to do it before Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get that set sometime this week, maybe. This movie should have came out in what 2019, 2018. Like it was supposed to be after Justice League. Like it should have came out so long ago.
But the chaos and the turnover and the obviously
it's because of Hamada.
He could, essentially and you can tell Rock is really pissed. There's something I'll talk about a little later in the little bit news tips for Black Adam of what he says. There's Superman. They're talking about Cavill, the troubles. Superman as well as Cavill were not in initial plans for Black Adam. The idea was hatching during a round of reshoots for the movie earlier this year, but the cameo was nixed by Hamada, the executive who for the last 4 years had tried hard to move beyond DC era, where one filmmaker, and no matter what, every single article that I read, it seems like Snyder always catches a stray shot, regardless. One filmmaker, Zack Snyder, had an inordinate amount of influence and could command an entire slate for years. So Hamada had his own.
That was the whole point. That was the whole point when they hired Snyder. He's got a plan. We're gonna follow his plan. Oh no, we're scared of his plan. We gotta get rid of him. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and they're talking about the Black Superman, Joe, with multi-decade spanning story that's on ice. And after Hamada said no, Johnson went around the executive, turning to DeLuca and Abbey, who gave the thumbs up. And then a furious round of negotiations occurred before Labor Day. A deadline insisted by Warner's with the scene shot mid-September.
And if it's a quick scene, which I still want it to be what I said last week, where it's just him at the border of Kahndaq being like, if you don't cross the border here, we won't cross the border there.
S-Bub says, watched Wonder Woman 84 today for my DC rewatch. Had to watch it in 2 times speed. S-Bubs, I don't really like to harp on movies I don't like, but that was one of the ones, I'm not a big fan of, but power to anyone that enjoys it. It was a tougher one for me. And
I will watch it at regular speed when I watch it.
Nikita, I'm always bummed about having very few theaters in Canada. We only have one in the capital city of my province, so 100% shout out that we need more theaters, and I assume you do as well. It's tough. Joe, we got to move on to another great section here, talking about Matt Reeves, because we were talking about the Penguin beforehand.
Yes.
And I think this kind of leads a little bit into this. They're talking about Matt Reeves quietly making his own expansion plans. Reeves is developing a sequel to his Batman, which grossed $770 million. Spinoff focusing on Colin Farrell is on its way, filming next year, but Reeves is plotting more. The filmmaker is meeting with writers and directors to build out movies. Yes, movies, not just series. Focus on Batman's rogues gallery, establishing both, which this is going to, so a lot of people are going to like this, both established and more obscure, with characters ranging from the Scarecrow to Clayface to Professor Pig. All those projects are in the very early stages of development.
The thing that got me, Clayface. I've been saying put Clayface in the movie for a while. I'm all on board. Although Professor Pig kind of made me kind of lift up my eyebrow, because he is a fairly new villain, and he's a very, very messed up villain. But the fact that he's a new villain and they're interested in putting him in a film, like, that just right there tells me the direction they're going to go. Like, and the fact that Riddler here in the Batman was very serial killer-esque, was very oh, what was the killer? Not Dahmer. The yep, lost my mind. Went away.
Manson?
But not Manson. Whatever. BTK. He was very BTK.
You have all kinds of serial killers up there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I know. I listen to a lot of them on podcasts. Like he was very just serial killer. Like the fact that he's going, yep, totally fuck Hamada.
Agree.
The fact that they did that way with Riddler just shows that if they were to put Professor Pig in a Batman movie, it would fit because he is psychotic.
Yeah, and we're like that could be just your opening first scene in the Batman 2 is him taking him down. I don't know if all these characters are going to get their own movies or
Zodiac.
series.
Thank you, S. Bubs. Zodiac Killer.
S. Bubs, like I said, he's the man in the chair.
Yes, he is.
Phil, that was my reaction as well. Clayface is the one that got me
I've been saying it for Clayface and Mad Hatter. That's what I've been saying.
I've been saying Clayface for so long, and Mr. Freeze. So those are the ones.
But that's the thing. Like, I want new villains. We've had Freeze. We've had Joker. We've had Freeze. Don't give that look.
Can I get a sensible Freeze where I can understand what he's saying?
I loved Arnold Schwarzenegger as Freeze. Come on.
So many Freeze puns. Too many.
And it worked.
Give me hard voice. Give me hard voice. Yeah, but this is great news. I thought, like,
yes,
Matt Reeves,
it's wonderful.
Being able to develop all his universe, like, give it to us, please. They're talking. The last thing, all this takes place as Hamada, who did not attend the Black Adam premiere in New York, which I can remember an article a month before saying he's staying on at least through the Black Adam premiere. So that
premiere was last week, and so now he's.
It kind of made it seem like he was going to go to them, but yeah, packs away the final personal effects from his Burbank studio office. He's not even taking a producing deal with studio, which this is kind of a shot at Toby Emmerich. Is kind of the move to go to. Joe, this really the other thing here, they're looking for a new head of DC Films. DeLuca, who is known for his fanboy roots and displays a deep knowledge of comic lore, remains firmly in charge of DC. He greenlit Joker 2, and he's been making decisions on Aquaman, The Last Kingdom, and The Flash, and has been meeting with filmmakers. Rumors abound that his role could evolve into one with more permanent and even exclusive oversight of DC. As for Johnson, last week he publicly expressed interest in helping guide look for DC boss, whatever.
Yeah, I know. What was it? Big Dan was going to be. Everybody was looking at him, Dan Lin.
Yeah.
For a hot minute, that kind of fell through, but they'll find the guy. They'll find somebody at some point, and yeah, I
think DeLuca really could end up transitioning and permanently taking over the role. I think that's probably
honestly. I think Black Adam. If Black Adam does well, which we'll get into the reviews in a bit, but if it does well in theaters, it's quite possible he could.
Yeah. And the final thing I think that was interesting about this, Joe, was Warner's insider disputed the idea of a leadership vacuum, saying the studio is still not standing and is moving ahead on several fronts, focusing on some of the A-list characters while planning and developing a way beyond that. A script for Wonder Woman 3 by Patty Jenkins is expected any day now, and a script for the Flash sequel is already written by Aquaman scribe David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
but that's just in case that movie does well in June next year.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Go ahead with this. Yeah,
sounds like a plan. A plan.
I mean, and scripts, they change over time, but yeah, no, you're right. Like, they have something in the works. Let's see if now this is also. I will say this. This is the first I've heard of any Wonder Woman news in quite a while. Like we
talked about it last week for a second on the roundup, but that was the only where she's on her own, where she was interviewed, and she said, "Yeah, like I had this script finished. I just finished the final scene, and I could think about what was going to happen for 4." And I was
there was another point in this article. I can't remember where it was, but talking about they've got Batman coming up the Batman 2 coming up, Joker 2, like obviously the Flash. Like they've got different universes now. Like they're building their, because the Batman is in its own universe, the Joker is in its own universe, the DCEU is in their own universe. So like we've got essentially at this moment 3 different universes going forward.
Yeah.
I'm fine. And so like if Abrams does do his Superman he was planning on doing, that would be on essentially on another universe.
Which,
So
guess
like
what? We're both fine with, aren't we, Joe? If we
I'm
saw that.
100% fine
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. Like we're like, even though like I'm super excited for Henry Cavill, you can have both. Like we can do multiple versions of characters. You can do it if you have a good enough story, and if it's on different Earth, then you can bring them together. If you do a big event,
Do a
right?
crisis. Like
You can
this is the perfect way if you sell this up, and we already know like the HBO Max shows, Titans, Doom Patrol, those are on separate universes, separate Earths. This is a good way to be like, all right, cool. So we're going to do a movie. We'll do a 3-hour crisis movie. Bring in every single actor, every single character from these other Earths. Bring them in from HBO Max. Bring them in from CW, and make a proper Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
Yes, you could even do multiple movies, part 1,
Yeah.
part 2, which would really work. And Joe, I'm just excited because The Rock is always saying like JSA versus JL, and I don't think stuff like having Batfleck show up for Justice League stuff is add the question that DeLuca is the one that's kind of spearheading it. It really seems like things have changed there, and they're not doing a full on reboot. And I still want to see all the Matt Reeves Batman stuff. Keep in mind, like I don't want just one. So I would like to see Batman still interacting with all these superpowered beings, but also get the gritty, grounded version of Batman as well that we've been getting with Pattinson. So I want my cake. I want to eat it too in that regard. This was a pretty cool article, Joe, to have dropped just before.
It was amazing because there was so much in that article.
And usually these articles are negative. Not gonna lie, most of these articles are negative these
for the
days.
last couple of years, they have been.
Yes, and like we've been getting a few wins since Batgirl was canceled, and I still hope that we one day see that film because that was one that I think could have been great as well. And you can even just tell that.
I say, never
say never anymore.
Yes, we never say never again.
Never. I never did. I never did, Joe. I never did. The same thing with Superman. And you tell me there's a Man of Steel too, but I read that I could have cried. And because Charles Roven being attached, there was rumors that they showed the theatrical 2017, and there was one studio exec, one producer that said, like, what is this crap? And I really think that it was him because he's the one that you can listen to his other interviews from the pre. He was all in on that vision, so I kind of think that was. Him. I'm just excited because if I just want Henry Cavill to do his thing, and if Christopher McQuarrie had an idea that he pitched Henry Cavill on Mission Impossible, I know it might be hard to get him because he's supposedly doing the next 2 Mission Impossible movies. I think I'm not 100% sure that I read that in the article as well. So it'd be tough to get him, but overall, the exciting times at DC. Joe,
I'm just happy it's shifting. I'm happy that we're actually getting a positive, like you said, a positive going forward versus just this stalemate that we had for the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I know the times were rough at the beginning, folks, with the slash it powers of Zaslav, but they're spending money now. This is not DC related, but they just signed the Inside the NBA TNT crew to another 10-year extension when a couple of them were in retirement. They're the best show for that medium, and basketball draws in the most viewers for North America in terms of like social media and all that. Yep. So I'm just saying they're not as poor as some people would make them out to be right now, because that is a big deal to shell out. I think Charles Barkley might get $200 million for 10 years. So
yay, sports ball.
I'm just saying, like WBD. WBD.
Pick that soccer ball into the hoop thing. Okay, cool.
Okay, so yeah, that was a great article. Joe, let's take our next ad break before we get into the Black Adam lead up for this premiere that's coming on Thursday. Folks, like I said before, we're an ad support network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Joe, let's get into this. This was supposed to be the main topic before we got that juicy article. First off, we will be reviewing the Black Adam film on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
potentially 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Probably 8 p.m.
Probably 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited. This is going to be like new
I mean,
DC film.
this is the first one since Wonder Woman, right? No, Suicide Squad. Which that was
the Batman. Sorry, the Batman. First one for
right.
DCEU since the Suicide Squad.
Which that was before Batman.
Yeah, that was in
so
last summer. That was last summer.
It's been almost a year.
Almost
since
a
you've
year,
had DC
over
movie?
a year, over a year.
Well,
year and
for
couple months
DCEU,
for
but I'm just talking about
DCU.
DC movie in general. Like that
DC
came out
movie March. The Batman came out.
Was that
So
March?
not
God, I was thinking that was December.
So not that long, but the DCU, which what I love, that took quite a while. There was quite a bit of chaos in the background. So this is I'm excited. We're getting a big build up here. We're getting a lot of stuff come out for Black Adam coming out on Thursday. I won't get to see it till Friday. I'm not going to complain anymore about those tests, but I had a nice ticket for 3:00 Eastern time on Thursday. I would have got to see it or 3:30, 2 p.m. Eastern time.
You would have seen it first.
Yeah.
I'm currently
first to worst.
I'm seeing it 5:00 Eastern on Thursday. I was hoping to get a second chance to watch it on Friday. I don't know if I'll be able to.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to. The only thing I'm going to get one on Friday. I'm going to try to get 2 back to back before, but I don't know. I want to build the notes too, so I may not be able to do that. So we're getting a lot of stuff for that. Tidbits, news, interviews, articles. So Joe, the Black Adam producers revealed that they had to do a lot of edits to get the R rating out to get it to PG-13. Are we buying that, or is that just like extra hype for?
I think they're I mean, I get that the R comic movie is the cool thing now. Not for your first film. You're not Deadpool. Come on. Deadpool is one, you know what you're getting with that character. Of course it's gonna be R-rated.
Of course.
This Black Adam, he's very violent. But The Rock has been pushing this movie as the movie that changed the DCEU. I'm not saying a movie for everybody, like a family movie or anything, but he's definitely pushing it for everybody to come see. There's no way that they had it as an R at one point.
No, Joe. Like part of the appeal to The Rock is his mass appeal. Part of the appeal of bringing him in as a character is his mass appeal to everybody else, like bringing all the people in, not just older, like 19 plus, like all ages.
Yeah.
So
I was to ask, wasn't all of the Fast and Furious movies, weren't they like PG-13, or was a couple of them R?
No, I think they were all PG-13, Joe. And his Hobbs and Shaw was PG-13. I know it must have been hard with the Black Adam sometimes, like electrifying people, turning them into skulls, like we saw, or skeletons. That could have been hard to get through, but I think it's the right move to have it this way. The Rock addressed if he's looking to take a bite out of Marvel with quote, "No, we don't want to be Marvel. We want to be DC, and I don't want to take a bite of that apple. I want to make a new apple." Sounds refreshing. We don't want.
I mean, yes, that's the way it should have been going since 2013 when that was going that way, and then.
Seems like everything changed in 2017, Joe. Seems like everything changed in 2017.
I know.
S-Bubs coming in, man, the chair as always. Thank you so much. There's actually an R-rated cut of Fast 5, but it's only available at home release.
But that just proves the point that The Rock. It's not that he can't do R-rated movies. Doom was pretty sure Doom was R-rated.
Katie said in our chat, released the R-rated cut. Oh, that made me laugh so hard. So I thought that was pretty cool of him to say. He's also indicated that we're going to get a Shazam Black Adam crossover. It's going to happen on screen. He mentioned that in a video interview. So that kind of makes me happy that he would do that, because I've been complaining. That's my biggest criticism of The Rock, is that there's not enough. So I hope that we get some Shazam references in this film, at least one, just letting us know that he's alive. Like even Amanda Waller, when she's talking about him, say like
I think it'll be Waller saying something about it.
Like he has the same characteristics or same powers as Shazam, but he doesn't act like a child. He's ruthless or something like that.
Yeah, I think, and if Black Adam knows about it, I think that would lead him to go searching for Shazam.
Like maybe he can take Shazam's power as well. Maybe that'll be the way that they.
That
And
could be
maybe
the
that's
third.
what. Maybe that's
either
what
the
he.
next Black Adam movie or the next Shazam movie.
Maybe that's what he might try to do to take down Superman. Maybe that's what he'll need. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out a way to just like, yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, him taking Shazam's powers makes sense. They were given to him. They're essentially the same powers. Him taking away Superman's powers.
I meant him taking away Shazam's powers to defeat Superman. Like that's how he got the power. Gets enough power to defeat him. I don't know. Just trying to tie all three and would already established Shazam is not as easy as it's not in my head.
But I am looking. Look, it's going to happen. Yes, I'm here for it.
And we got some first critic reactions to the movie. I'll just touch on a couple here. Variety's Courtney Howard said The Rock is terrific in Black Adam, which includes a hearty amount of real-world touchstones. Director Sarah lays out building blocks for a larger, grander universe. Action is lively on a big scale. And Eric Davis said DC's Black Adam rocks. Tons of action, characters you're instantly invested in, and terrific pacing. Dwayne Johnson finds great balance in the menacing and badass, but also empathetic. Especially love Aldous Hodge's Hawkman and Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. More JSA. Please. This is not so much a positive one as well. Just read this one. Black Adam struggles to find its footing at first, but once Justice Society enters, it becomes much more fun to watch.
Which is
solid visuals.
Black Adam movie.
Solid visual effects, weak villain, post-credit scene got the biggest reaction of all.
Interesting.
And then this other person had to go through metal detectors for the Black Adam New York screening. Pity, it's bad. No emotional depth, zero sense of peril for the main character, and dull CGI battles. So not 100% positive, but I've seen a lot more positive than negative, and especially positive on Pierce Brosnan and Aldous Hodge.
Yes, I'd rather have a couple of negative reviews. That way, like people aren't just, for lack of better terms, sucking off the Rock.
Yeah, that's the thing, Joe. Some people are accusing others in that review space of doing that right now because of reviews. But
like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love The Rock. I do. I like his work, but he's been pushing this. Like, it just seems like this has been a giant push. Obviously for good, because they're trying to build up DC movies again. They're trying to make it a big thing, but
that's probably the way they had it planned initially, way back when in the Shazam film. I wouldn't have been surprised, but
look,
but yeah,
Sean Connery as Alan Quartermain died in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
God,
not that they were going to make
a good movie, Joe.
They're going to make a second film for that, but he still died in that movie.
It's a good film. Good film.
I look forward to us watching that in the future.
I can't wait. That's a very underrated film. But like I said, this is awesome news for Black Adam. The hype is real.
I'm here for it. Like, I'm excited to watch it. I'm happy that I'll be able to talk about it on the review here. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to getting that bucket.
And I think, listeners, this is the first movie review for the network. I think now they've changed to it's just going to be me and Joe. Just the two hosts that do the review. There won't be a panel this time. It'll be just me and Joe. But we do have Patreon discussion or just a GUA chat.
I feel like it's just a GUA chat.
GUA chat.
Like, it's going to show up. It's going to go up.
Look at the GUA.
I could be wrong on that one.
It's already out on GUA Twitter.
Travis set out the tweet earlier today, so go check that out. It's going to be happening. The recording's happening on the 30th.
Yeah.
So yeah,
there we go. So check out the GUA Twitter for that. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm super excited for this film. I can't wait. And like I said, I'm not judging the film on the end credit scene at all. That is not what is going to make or break this film for me. I'm going to judge the entirety of the film. But the end credit scene just means so much more going forward for me. And we got that in that article we just discussed earlier about the Man of Steel 2. That's what I want. I want him to help Sasha Kai, Supergirl, and Superman is in the Flash film as well. I want him to help her learn the ropes. I want her in his film going forward. I want them to establish he would be a great mentor to Supergirl.
We want a better connectivity is what we want.
And the seeds for Supergirl have been planted for a while too, since Man of Steel, potentially.
Yeah.
with that open path.
But that's not to say that Sasha Kaye Supergirl is the Supergirl from the pod. But
Yeah. No.
whatever.
It could
Yeah.
be. We don't know.
We don't know.
So, Joe, that is it for the Black Adam stuff. Let's get into the Stargirl season 3, episode 6 betrayal discussion. Yeah, we had another Stargirl episode, and I think the best thing about this is what I found out was what I think anyway is the big bad for the season. But what do you think about this episode, Joe?
Like I said earlier, I had a tough time watching because I watched it over so long. It wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was bad, but these are kids in high school, and they are playing kids in high school because they are fighting about stupid things. When they all got pissed off at Courtney because she didn't tell them that Cameron had powers. When it
we
was
actually had to hear that too, by the way. The old people said that once, and all I could think of is you, Joe. Like honestly, the first thing I heard, I was like,
Perfect.
It's Joe.
Perfect.
It's Joe.
No, like it's because of them. I just keep doing it. Like they're mad at Courtney for keeping the secret, keeping Cameron's secret. It's like, yeah, no, it's Cameron's secret. It's not her secret. So I'm just supposed to go behind his back to tell you guys what's going on. That's not true. Like, I'm building trust with him, not like I already got the trust of you guys. I'm trying to build the trust with him. Them, what was it? Wildcat and Our Man fighting Cindy. Like, first off, they're doing it in the front yard, which nobody else in the other houses sees anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a van that just happens to slam in the ground.
I need to slide in for a second and say I want to give some props though to the fight scene that started in the house with
That was a good fight.
with Wildcat and Cindy, because that was a good fight. I was appreciating the fights in this are good. Even some people that rag on CW shows are like, "What show is this?" This is a rag on. So I really like the fight scene here that spilled out. But I thought it got a bit excessive with Our Man. And I'm waiting to see the repercussions because we got a scene here where he does work out and goes past the hour, so he has the powers now.
But the other thing is that he already knew that. Like, he put the thing on.
Well, he didn't know, Joe. That was the first time he was testing out over an hour.
Sure.
Yeah, so he.
Also,
they showed in the lead up that he took out the regulator.
Speaking of that scene, when he breaks into the gym.
Yeah.
So already he breaks into the gym. Well, maybe he didn't use his power, whatever. But he breaks into the gym, and then he starts.
Did he break into the gym? I just thought he went to the gym when.
He busted that door open.
Oh, jeez. I didn't notice that part.
I was gonna say, like, one thing that pisses me off because when I used to go to the gym, I always got upset when somebody would lift weights without putting the clips on the end, because all it takes is just you go off balance once, slide, boom. Like, I've seen it happen.
Recipe for that, just the little things, Joe. That especially the way he's doing it, he's going quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and those things shift.
Yeah, it doesn't matter about how strong you are if you're going up, and especially at that speed. I honestly,
I will say I was happy when he went like the deadlift and he actually did have clips on. I thought it was stupid that he put 225s on and not another 45, whatever. That's my.
I just gotta say something too. I just love seeing his costume when he's fighting out in front yard. I just love the Our Man costume in this. The costume, it's a great costume.
But we're also seeing we're seeing all the three of them, Yolanda, Rick, and Beth. Being, I don't want to say more aggressive, but they're following Sylvester's advice.
They've been a team with Sylvester since last episodes. Courtney's been checked out with Cameron.
I was gonna make a comment because I was very vocal about this during the Book of Boba Fett series when there was 2 episodes in that show where there was no Boba Fett.
Yeah.
This is 2 episodes where there's barely any Stargirl.
Oh, the actual Stargirl.
Actual Stargirl.
See, it's tricky when you have Sylvester, and because he can use the staff too, so it's a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this one works a little bit because, yes, the staff is still being used. Yes, we did get Stargirl toward the end of the episode, But I don't know, just something about this episode. While I enjoyed it, it just wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't like the greatest episode, but it definitely shows where everybody's at currently.
Yeah,
You know,
and there's some good things about this and some bad. I gotta say that I did enjoy the young the young the two guys trying to get
young all
Sydney,
stars.
young all stars. I enjoy them trying to get Sydney. It just never works out for them. Uh, but Joe, I think the well, it was really creepy too. The meeting between Courtney's parents and
Cameron's grandparents. I
Cameron's
did like
grandparents.
how the grandma was like, "Did you talking in Norwegian? I believe." To the grandpa, like, "Did you poison their food?" And he's like, "No, I did not." And she's
Yeah.
like, "Well, why did you serve it to them then?" It's like,
Yeah, he seems to be hell bent on peace, and
yep.
she does not. I have a feeling like she may take him out before,
You
and
think
then
so?
yeah, I think she may take him out because he's not as vengeful for their son.
So here's the other thing. Continuing on to that, we know that she's going to tell Cameron about
No,
Courtney.
she's not.
Oh
Oh,
no, I
she
think
is.
she
Oh
will.
no, sorry, she is. I thought you
The
said
grandma,
Courtney was.
the
I thought you
grandma.
said
No,
Courtney was going to. I was like, come on, Joe.
no,
Like the trope of
no.
tropes is
Courtney's
that
not. The grandma
she
is going to
should have.
tell
She should
Cameron.
have, but she didn't. Yeah.
And that's the other thing. She needs to, because to avoid what's going to happen, which will be, he'll find out. Oh, she is Stargirl. Stargirl and JSA killed my dad.
Yeah.
I'm mad at her now.
Especially her brother ran through her
Exactly.
yeah, like literally killed him. So and Sydney tells her that when they're fighting
Mm-hmm.
and essentially says the same thing. I I don't know if I'm because she had the intentions of presenting him to the group when she had him
Oh,
fully trained.
100%.
So that's why I'm a little bit more on their side of she probably should have filled him in a little bit, like just JSA
Well,
superhero stuff was.
see, I don't think so. Not yet. I think once he got a better handle on his powers, then I think she would have brought it up to the team.
Oh, she was 100
But not like
Sylvester
fully.
calls her
Not
out. Sylvester
not
calls
when
her
he
out.
was, yes, but
Yeah.
not when he had like full control. I was gonna say when he had like maybe another training session.
Yeah.
Then she was gonna bring up, "Hey, Cameron's got these powers. We should bring him in because we did it with Cindy. Because we did it. We gave Cindy a chance." But I mean, we already saw Yolanda has been anti Cindy since the beginning.
Yeah. And Sydney, I think now she's going to join the Young All Stars now because she has nobody. I do. I think that this is she's going to
Maybe
join them. Maybe even depend. They'll ask to pin for a cure, and they may like eventually be able to figure something out there. I think that's the way that's going to go.
that's a
And
possibility.
I'm excited because at the end we find out. Well, I think we find out that it's not Dragon King that's watching everybody because Courtney and them find out. Beth finds out that somebody's watching them, so they finally find out. And I think I was talking to Chris Balga from Marvel Alliance about this. So shout out to Chris Balga because I asked him if he had any knowledge on him.
Mr. Bones, yeah.
Mr. Bones from DC Universe, and Chris essentially said he's a reformed supervillain, but being the head of the DEO, he can seem like a villain to other people.
He is. So he was mentioned at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
Because that I believe that's who the orphanage that Jade's brother Todd was at. Like they were basically taking these teens with superpowers and putting them a part of Mr. Bones' team. So that's the thing, though. We've already. I don't know if I can't remember if we've already seen him.
I don't think we have. He's not in the Stargirl stuff here written up about the episode as a character, even because they would say he was referenced. They just talk about like this silhouette. They don't.
He was referenced. I guarantee he was referenced at the end of season 2. But yeah, this one we see throughout the entire episode. We see somebody putting a puzzle together, and I made a joke to you at the very beginning before we started how pissed off I was that you don't put a puzzle together from the inside out. You go from the borders. You make the outside first because those are all straight pieces.
No, we did see him once, Joe. You're right.
Thank you. So that's why I don't think it's him. I don't think it's Dragon King, but I don't think it's Mr. Bones yet. Like I guarantee he's showing up. But that's the other thing with this show. Like we're seeing oh, this is going to be the villain. This is the villain of the whole series. No, I honestly think like we're the series. This series season is called Frenemies, which we're seeing with Cindy. We're seeing with Sylvester. Like
What about Cameron?
Definitely with Cameron. He's definitely gonna become a villain at one point. Like it, I can't sit here and like positively say who the villain is for the season, but I mean, it's not Mr. Bones. I don't think it's Mr. Bones.
I think it is because they showed him at the end of last season, if I do recall right now, and I think that he is the one that's going to come out to play here. I'm not sure what they're going to do with him, but
I only say that because if they showed him at the end of season 2,
Keith David is the voice for him, I think.
Yeah, yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, so I do think that he's going to, because maybe that might have been their lead into the next season too. Or like, there's a few episodes left. There's several.
What if this
is
Obsidian? Why not? Right? We can throw that out there. I don't think it is.
No. But I'm just excited about that. I think it's a cool potential. Like, who knows what is going to happen? Because I thought it was Dragon King, and we know that something's happening to Sydney. She's kind of transforming into something. Her father was doing experiments that started happening in Shadowlands. So, going to be interesting to see how that works out. Check out the preview for the next episode because in that there is a Green Lantern. I'll just say that now. There is who is one of my favorite characters that we got last season. She is reappearing this episode. So yeah, super excited about that. Super excited. So Joe,
Jade.
I still don't know where we're going with the direction of this. It seems to be more infighting with the team than anything, which happened last season and season 4. I'm getting a little over that. But there are still some cool things here. Like Death Star, when she came in and done the whatever we call it, the move she learned from Sylvester.
That was cool. That was a good move.
Super cool.
Have we heard yet? Are we getting a season 4?
We don't know anything about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Joe. Let's take another ad break, our final one, before we get out of here this evening. Listeners, we're an ad support network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. Okay, Joe. We have some roundup, and then we have our Smallville retro recap. Of course, Joker 2 is going to start filming November 5th, and like we read in the article, seems like DeLuca had a lot to do with that, pushing that forward. And yeah, I'm just excited about this. I only watched the first Joker film once. That was it.
And same actually.
Yeah. So, but I really enjoyed it. I didn't feel like rainbows and butterflies or pew 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 like I do after some comic book films, but it was enjoyable, and I can't wait to see the next one. I think this can be put out pretty quickly. There is no release date for this yet, I don't think. So maybe there's a tentative one. I don't trust any release dates until the film is actually finished.
That's my 100% there.
That's my new policy for every film, even Marvel stuff, until it's finished and in the can. Even that sometimes don't apply, but exciting news. Another Joker. Seems like I said, any new DC film is a good thing. We got Definitely. Justice League, Zack Snyder's cut will be screening at Kevin Smith's Smodcast Cinemas in 2013.
Jealous.
Wish I could go there.
Not 2013.
2023. Sorry. Thank you, Joe, for saying that. DC Titans showrunner Greg Walker has addressed if the series will be renewed for a 5th season. Spoiler, I'll read his quote actually just to say. He says, as much as I do, we're in wait and see mode. We're excited about this season. HBO Max has been incredibly supportive of the show and really helping us become the show we want to be and get in front of as many people as possible. And then he said, as for Doom Patrol, one of the actors said, we're same as you guys, completely honest with you. Once the series comes out, we don't really hear anything. Sometimes you hear a little bit before. He said, we're signed up for some reason, and then we'll know if we're going forward or not. So, yeah. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get any more seasons of either of these shows, or do you think this could be the end? Especially with the new shift we got just in.
Honestly, I need to see the show. I didn't think that after the last season of Doom Patrol, we were going to get another one.
Same.
Like, because the way it ended was while having Madame Rouge part of the team, and that's odd. Doom Patrol has been odd from the get-go. Yeah. So Okay, fine.
I don't think we're going to leave our characters in Doom Patrol that much better off than when we found them. Like, I think they'll be constantly trying to work on themselves.
Yes,
Like,
but but then we go back to Titans, and Titans. I feel like the end of season 3 wrapped up well enough. I mean, I said well enough.
Like I said, I'm not going to harp on the dead horse that I thought the season 3 of Titans was. Especially, I enjoyed season 1, 2, and there's things in season 3 I enjoyed.
There was things in season 3 I enjoyed. See,
everything with Hank was
so
fantastic.
man, yeah.
Like even his episode in the Beyond, I really enjoyed that.
I'll say this: I have no idea what's going to happen for either season. We're about to show the poster for Doom Patrol, and we talked about Titans last week. But like Brother Blood, Mother Mayhem's gonna be in that for Titans. All right, cool. I'm not really like, it's not really a gung ho. I need to watch it because of them. I'm watching it out of the fact that I've already watched 3 seasons.
Same, Joe. Same. And
like when I dropped off the CW shows, I had given them 6 or 7 seasons a piece.
Yeah.
Usually. And by that time I got burned out. But that's also with 22 episodes a piece. These are only 10 episodes.
Yeah.
10 episode seasons, you give, if I have no problem.
Even 13.
Watching.
Even 13
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
too bad.
It's
and I'm with you on this, Joe, because I didn't enjoy some of the directions of the last season. But I'm not going to throw it out yet, especially where I'm not sure if we're getting another season. So this may be the final season of the show, just because of the writing on the wall with stuff like Young Justice and stuff like that I really enjoyed, but we're not getting another season of that.
And
so
if it's last episode or last season, it's last season.
Also, I've seen some pretty cool
seasons.
action. I've seen some pretty cool action already in the
those
stuff
suits have been amazing.
So I'm all forward to seeing that. Like, if the writing isn't as good, I'll probably assume that we won't get another season.
Yeah, but we'll see.
We'll see. Like I said, I will say this: the action and the costumes, and even the actors are like, you could drop them in a movie, like a DCEU movie, and I think they would be okay. Like, obviously, you might have to change tone a little bit from the tone of Titan Universe, but I just think the way the characters are, I think some of them could definitely, not all of them, not talking about you, Red Hood over there, but like Nightwing. I think this Nightwing, you could drop him in this Starfire and this Superboy, and they could go amongst the DCEU. Like, that's how good I think some of these characters have been done.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's a show. It's a DC show, but I have no idea. I know we've seen the trailers. I know we've seen some TV spots. Whatever. I'm still gonna watch the show.
Show me some different transformations, Beast Boy. Come on, I would love to see that. That's one of my goals. You got a super suit.
Get that.
You got a super suit.
Look, he turned into a bat. That's fine.
I'm going to quote Scott. Don't you dare mention that, because I mentioned that to Scott on Twitter when someone said, "Yeah, can Beast Boy?" or I think Scott said, "Can Beast Boy transform to anything but a tiger?" And I posted the bat, and he said, "Don't you dare." So, or don't mention that. So
I'll tell Scott that. I'll tell her right to his face.
It was bad. It was bad. It was a Halloween costume. Joe, yeah, I would love to see these shows get renewed for another season. I just think it's more content for HBO Max and just more DC stuff. It's always a good thing. Getting more eyeballs on the Titan characters and Doom Patrol characters. Like I said, never a bad thing. And yeah, we got to talk about the final bit of news roundup, which is the new poster for Doom Patrol. I don't know if you saved that and brought that up on the thing.
I did not.
I can share that right now. I will.
Yeah, you do that.
I think it's fantastic.
I figured you're gonna.
Just give me a second here.
That's how you get. Yeah, I mean, it's something we've seen before.
Yeah,
it was just shared today. Like,
it is the entire cast of Doom Patrol besides Rita riding on the giant giant.
I mean,
butt.
let's be honest. I don't think Rita would be caught dead on that butt.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. She may be caught dead by that butt because she's not in a great position for what could potentially happen with the butt. If I'm being honest here. Joe, I just thought that was funny. I put that in at the end just to make you laugh. I thought it
got me. Not gonna lie, it got me.
Well, doing the show notes, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put this in at the very end. I think this was funny. So Joe, before we wrap up and get out of here for the night and get excited for Black Adam that we get to talk about on Friday, we have to talk about our Smallville retro recaps.
Yes.
We have this week episode 17 of Smallville.
14 of Smallville.
Episode 14, sorry. Zero. I was saying 0 as I was trying to say 17.
You good.
0 from episode 14 of Smallville. What did you think about this episode, Joe? High level thoughts.
It was a good episode. I will say that it was a good episode. It was but to me, it was just one of those like, all right, cool, no biggie. And also, it was because I have been watching a ton of movies lately, and because I've been reviewing movies lately over on my other podcast, and I'm very nitpicky, and nitpicky is like a fun term. Yeah. This one, I see you see Chloe, Pete, and Clark, walking. It's a single shot take, which is cool, but they're walking up the stairs, talking, and then they get to the top of the third level, and you see the wall through the door, and you see that it's a wall, okay? Yeah. And then they come. The next scene is them coming through the door, and then there's a bunch of people walking behind them out of a hallway.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I've been breaking down too many movies lately. I need to stop doing that.
And the funny thing about that is on the Talkville podcast, they were praising the shot of them walking.
It's a great shot. No, it is a great shot.
I'm just saying they stopped talking after that when you the thing that you mentioned. They
moved on.
Immediately kept that out. I do like something that they say on the Talkville podcast. I think Tom Willig says it most of the time. Like, if I was going to show somebody like an episode of Smallville to say like this is what the show's about, will I show them this episode? I wouldn't show them this episode. I don't think this is as much. This is more of a Lex-centered story.
It's definitely a Lex episode.
But if you're a fan of the show, if you've been watching for 13 episodes, and this is your 14th episode of the first season, you're glad to get this a little bit more backstory on Lex and to see Lex before he met Clark, because you could see the changes that Clark has had on him even more. Just not being a dick, going through like, yeah, she's married, she's engaged, just like blatantly telling the bouncer just because you're excited. I'm like, you're not like that now, Alex.
So speaking of Talkville, they do talk about how if this happened 3 years before now of the current timeline of the show, Lex would have been 19 going into this club. Which, okay, he's a rich person. Of course he can get in there and get drinks. He's rich. Like, I get that. But just the fact of like, yeah, no, he's underage. If this place got caught, he'd be screwed. Like,
oh my God. America, people. America. 19 is drinking age here. I was getting into bars at 17 using a fake ID. So,
well, I mean, you could definitely walk around many places around here, and at 17, kids had fake IDs.
And 17-year-old Travis did not have a cachet of a 19-year-old Lex Luthor.
Exactly. But no, it's like, it was a good episode. For some reason, I thought it was the fiance. What was her name? Amanda?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she had gotten powers and like morphed herself into her ex-fiance.
Joe, quit telling cooler ways this episode could have been told.
Because this is an episode I don't remember. Like, I'm watching it. So I am picking out like today's thought process and putting it into a 2001 thought process, which I shouldn't be doing. But no, like I said, this episode's not bad, but it's just not one of my favorites.
You get a couple shout outs. You get a shout out to Bloodhaven.
And Central City.
Which
I will also make a comment. Michael Rosenbaum's like, yeah, I don't know what Central City is. My dude, you did the voice of Flash for years, literally the same time you were doing this.
I will say one thing for him. I don't think he ever was in Central City. I don't even know if Central City was ever mentioned in that Justice League or Justice League Unlimited.
Sir, he's done Flash, the voice of Flash.
He should know. I'm
2001.
I'm not saying he shouldn't know.
He did it in the series. He did it in multiple animated movies.
I'm not saying he shouldn't know. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry,
I'm
Michael
just saying.
Rosenbaum. I tried, but Joe's 100% right here. You should have known that. That was surprising. Uh, I gotta say, I did like the Lex Falls scene
That
where
was pretty
Clark
cool.
runs in, throws
The
the
couch
couch, and then goes up to bring
knocks the
stuff
guy
back
out
out.
and then runs back outside. Oh, what happened here?
Yeah, I just close up. I tell you one thing, Lex is the most like not questioning billionaire of all time.
Well,
Like,
he gets hit on the head a lot.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But it was enjoyable. There wasn't much given in the Tackville episode as well, listeners. It
Well, they talked
was
about the stuntman who refused to
oh,
do. Well, I don't say refused. He backed out of doing that stunt.
he
Like he
got
had
too
just
scared to do
he
that. He
froze
was
up.
like he froze up, which
It
understandable.
happens.
That was a
Yeah.
scary thing to do. And they were also talking about he was doing other things like jumping out of car, super speed, no problem.
Yeah. No
So
big deal. But this one he
which
froze,
we
and it happens. You know.
which I think you see in the next episode because I watched a couple while I was doing some homework. I went
Oh,
out
did
and
you?
watched two more, and one of those two episodes you do see the limo jump for Lex's character.
Okay.
So yeah, I
Okay.
was like, I clue that in actually just now. So uh, I like I said, I'm with you, Joe. I think it was just an okay episode. I wouldn't be one that I would show
Correct.
anyone.
It is a really good episode for the series because it tells more of Lex's backstory. But it's not one that I would be like, oh hey, and they said on Talkville. It's not one that I'd be like, hey, you need to watch this episode right now.
The side story was okay too, where Chloe was investigating Clark and doing a
Oh
project on him.
yeah,
That was
that
kind
one.
of
I mean, that's
okay
going to
to
come
me.
back later, obviously.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, at no point did anybody, unless you are playing, ever use the cursor to hover over save, delete, save, delete,
No, not
save.
that.
No
Not
one
like
does
that.
that.
No, no,
No one,
no.
no one ever did that, except for a TV show or movie to show conflict.
Yeah, I will say sometimes when I don't know the answer doing an online test and it's multiple choice, I will do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I
Yeah,
will put
that's
my
different
hand over
though.
the cursor, do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe, and
Yes,
then I'll pick the one that if
that's
the
that's different because you praying for luck that you get the right answer.
yes, don't do
This
that at
is
home, listeners. Don't do that at home. That is not a recipe for success. It's not what I do normally. It's just if I don't know one and I'm exhausted, uh, it's not what I would recommend for anybody for success. But yeah, Joe,
uh,
I like I said, there was good things about this episode, but it wasn't nearly as good as some of the other ones we've seen.
correct.
Uh,
But I'm
yeah,
looking forward to more.
same thing. I there are a couple of really fun episodes coming up. I think there's the jitters guy, not the jitters guy, the scientist. I'm trying to remember his name. Silas's Victor's father, Silas Stone,
Joe
Justice
Morton.
League.
Yeah.
Joe Morton, he's coming back, I think, for the next episode or one after that. One of those.
Was he in the Jitters one? No.
No, he was in the other. There was a couple episodes after that. He was in that one episode. I can't remember what it was called, man. But he's already been
Okay.
in one episode since, and he started working for Lex after it was over.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I'm enjoying these. First season Smallville has been pretty great. Not gonna lie,
I mean,
I
it's
forgot about some of these.
same. And so I'm not gonna lie, I am enjoying rewatching them. No, I won't go back and watch the ones I missed. I'm
No.
not even gonna pretend to promise that.
Okay, Joe, I think that wraps up everything for tonight. Listeners, we'll
I
be
think
back
so.
later on this week for our Black Adam review. Super excited about
Yay.
that. Joe, tell the listeners where they can find you before we
Of-
get out of here this evening.
Of course, Travis, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. You guys can find me on Twitter at _actually_. You can find my show, A Walk to the Multiverse, on Twitter at WalkTheVerse. And you can find my other show, Comic Book Rundown, on Twitter at Comic Rundown and on Instagram at Comic Book Rundown.
You can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC pretty much anytime. I also host another show on the network right now titled Superhero Discussions, but I will be changing that name. It's going to be something more with animation in the name. I'm thinking
Animation Hero Discussions?
the Animation Nation is kind of the first thing that
Ooh,
comes to mind.
interesting.
So I may go with that. I think there's just Animation Nation, not the Animation Nation. So I'm going to probably go with that.
Okay.
I'm going to come up with two others. Listeners, if you have any ideas you want to throw my way, feel free to slide me a DM and give me your idea. That would be great for a show. I'm not the greatest at coming up with names. Now, I will say Superhero Discussions wasn't just solely focused on animated content when I created the show. So
Really?
yeah, so I think that's why I want to change it just to a Animation Nation or something.
Okay.
Also, I think that was the name of the like cartoon block of shows that I watched growing up. I think it was called the Animation Nation. So
I'll say if you want to go real deep cut, go to Nami. It's not like that's being used anymore.
Joe, throwing out some shots as we leave here. Also, I tried to do it in the intro, but I kind of got a little distracted. I was on the Vigilante 1939 Black Adam tailgate party this last Friday. It was a whole bunch of people there. Tim and Carlos from the Nerd Room. Andy from Holy Backcast was there. We had Zeddy and Nico from the Vigilante 1939, ones that threw it off. We had Yavi there. There was several people there. Chris Evans. It was a fun time. If I forgot anybody, we had Josh there as well, and Matt too as well. Yeah, I think that's everybody. It was a great time. It really got me pumped for Black Adam. Eric as well, who had saw the movie and had a great poker face anytime anyone asked him.
Perfect.
It was fun time, Joe, and got me even more hyped for Black Adam. I can't wait. So I will see you on Friday, my friend.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then.
We'll see you too, listeners. Then later.